students. I'm teacher Sam, and today we're going to continue our English course in online class. Our plan for today, first we're going to review everything we have learned last week because I know that some of the students were absent, some of the students did not listen, some of you did not listen because did not hear because you didn't have sound settings. So that's why let's do a thorough and full review of everything we have learned last week. And there were a lot of questions. All of these questions will be included in your final test. That's why we are going to write it down today and make sure you know how to answer it correctly. Also, we will review some of the vocabulary because, again, last week I have learned that some of you surprisingly don't know the most easy words. And so that's why we'll review easy and difficult words. And finally, we are going to practice the dialogue. And the dialogue that we have learned last week about the pizza. So we will work today individually. Remember the topic of our last week? And we were talking about food. We spoke about pizza, we talked about different food categories, but all of it was about food. Right? And we know that food and fruit, right? Two words that spell differently and they have different meaning. They sound very, very similar. Right? So especially when we have a question, what's your favorite food? Don't miss it with what's your favorite fruit? Right? Because even last week, very often, I'm asking the question, what's your favorite fruit? And you answer, my favorite fruit is mama noodles. And so that is not correct. Don't miss food and fruit. Don't, if you don't understand, you can always ask teacher, can you please repeat? I didn't get, was it, what's your favorite food or what's your favorite fruit? And because we have fruits like pineapples, mangoes, bananas, and foods like papaya salad, noodles, steaks, chips, fast food. And these words sound very, very closely, but they mean very different things. Next, we also have learned about food and beverages, or food and drinks, right? And what is the difference between the word drink and beverage? So it is the same. Beverage or food is everything that you can drink, right? And that's why we are using two different verbs. Our first verb is to eat. We use it when we speak about food, right? And for example, you can say, I like to eat papaya salad. I like to eat chicken. I like to eat noodles. Right? But you cannot say, I like to eat coffee or I like to eat milk. This is not possible. With the verb eat, we use it only when we speak about food. And the same thing, the verb to drink, you use it only when speaking about beverages. For example, I like to drink Coke. I like to drink coffee. I like to drink cocoa. And both of these verbs, eat and drink, are irregular. right? So when we speak about the past, for example, in the morning I ate breakfast, right? In the morning I ate some eggs. Do not say that I eat eggs for breakfast. And breakfast is in the past. So that's why we say I ate eggs for breakfast. And the same thing about drinks. For example, I can ask you a question, what did you had for breakfast? And you can say, I drank milk, or I drank cocoa, or I ate cereal. Right? If you choose the food, use the verb eat. If you choose beverage, let's use the verb drink. And also, now we know that there are many food categories. That sounds difficult, but it's actually quite easy. What is a category? A category is like a group. And we know that first group is snacks, right? Something small amount of food that we eat when we're hungry. There are also desserts, something sweet. There are fruit, vegetable, there are meats, bakeries, and many more categories. So let's review all the categories that we have in the food section. Is a snack. And what is snack? Snack is a small amount of food eaten between the meals. And between the meals, during the day, we have at least 3 meals. Right? So meal number one is breakfast. What time do you usually have breakfast? We usually have breakfast around 7 a.m. or sometimes 6 a.m. in the morning. So let's say 7 a.m. Let's say that we have breakfast at 7 a.m. in the morning. What time do we usually have lunch? About, let's say, 11:30, right? 11:30, or we can say noon time, right? Or sometimes noon time, that means 12, right? Noon time. And what about dinner? We usually have dinner about 6 p.m. And so let's say that you had breakfast at 7 a.m. in the morning. And right now is 9:30 in the morning, right? 9:30 a.m. and you feel hungry. And so what to do if you feel hungry at 9:30 a.m.? First, you can eat a snack. And because the breakfast is already over, the lunch is in 2 hours, right? So you can eat a snack, right? Something small amount of food that you can eat between the meals. Right? Snacks can be healthy and unhealthy. Most of snacks you can see here, right? Like potato chips. Potato chips are not very healthy. Breadsticks are the healthier option, right? Not so much oil, not so much salt. Cookies, okay, tacos, right? Also quite healthy, but the best snack of all times is an apple. And this snack is healthy, this snack is juicy. So the best snack for students is a fruit, apple or orange. This is the best snack that you can have. Don't waste your health for the cheap lays like potato chips or cookies, pretzels. These are delicious, but they're not good for your health. Okay, so snacks clear. Snack is a small amount of food eaten between the meals. Let's move on. This is much more interesting category. And the name of the category is dessert, right? Dessert. Take a look at this word, dessert. Uh, this word has a stress on the last syllable, so dessert. And what is a dessert? Dessert is something sweet that you usually eat in the end of a meal. And so first, if you let's say if you have a dinner, right? So number one, you can eat a steak. Um, maybe number two, you can eat some soup, right? Or you can combine it together. And only number three, in the end, you can have a dessert, right? So you never have ice cream before your steak. Otherwise, you won't feel hungry. Desserts. Desserts are usually not healthy, even though sometimes they have some berries or sometimes they have some some jellies, right? A lot of cream is a lot of fat, so most of desserts not healthy, but they are delicious. That's why we eat just a little bit of them. So dessert is usually quite small. You never eat the whole cake by yourself. You eat just a small piece after the meal. So dessert, and let's move on. And we coming up to the next category. Next category is fruit. So let's read and write it down in your notebook. What is a fruit? Fruit is the sweet and fleshy product of a tree or another plant that contains seed and can be eaten as foods. Sounds very difficult, but let's see, it's not that hard. Usually, fruit is sweet, right? But it's not always true. Sometimes fruit can be sour, like for example, lemon, or fruit can be just not sweet, right? For example, mango. If it's yellow, if it's sweet. If it's green, it is sour. Right? What's the difference? The difference is in ripeness. Right? There is a word ripe. A ripe that you in Thai language call suk. So if the fruit is ripe, it's usually sweet. Right? But if the fruit is not ripe, or how you say in Thai language, may suk, this is not sweet. So that's the difference. If the fruit is not ripe, it's not sweet. And if it's ripe, it is sweet. Uh, Product of a tree. Yes, fruit usually grow on a tree, but not always. And sometimes they grow on a plant. For example, like watermelon, it doesn't grow on the tree. Or pineapple, it never grows on a tree, right? It grows on a plant. Or maybe even the grapes. It's not grown on a tree, it is grown on the plant. And that contains seeds. Seed is very important thing of the fruit. And so all fruits have seeds. For example, watermelon has black seeds, Oranges, they have seeds. Pineapples, they have seeds on the outside. Pears have seeds. Most of the fruits have seeds. And so three properties of a fruit. It's usually sweet. It's usually grow on the tree, and it's always have some seeds. Even bananas, they have some seeds. Right? So that's the difference. All right, and here you can see a lot of fruits and vegetables. Some of them are not fruit, right? Some of them are vegetable. But let's not be confused, right? So cucumbers certainly not fruit. Important thing, remember the word ripe. Ripe means ready to eat. And when the fruit is not ripe, it's not sweet, it's not delicious, right? Not ripe. Banana is green and it tastes horrible. Not ripe. Watermelon is not red. Alright, so this is fruit. Let's move on. So we're coming down to another category and it is vegetable. Vegetable, let's read the definition first. Vegetable is a plant or part of a plant used as food. Typically, you eat vegetable together with meat or fish, right, or some other food as cabbage, potatoes, or beans. And vegetables usually grow on a plant, right? Vegetables never grow on a tree. It's usually not sweet, and if you eat fruit more often like a dessert, vegetable is usually eaten as a food. Right? So you eat it for dinner, for lunch, or breakfast. Right? You never eat it uh, between the meals. You eat it together with the meal. So these are vegetables. Right? Many vegetables, and they are very, very healthy. That's why your parents usually say, eat your vegetables, and you don't like it. But vegetables are very, very good for your health. Okay, let's move on to another category. Next is the word beverage. Beverage, right? Let's say it a few times. Beverage, beverage, beverage. It's difficult to pronounce, but if you practice, it's not that difficult as it sounds. So beverage. Beverage is a drink, especially different from water. So most of you asked me what's the difference between beverage and drink, right? Beverage or drink. There is no difference. Beverage equals drink. So you can say my favorite beverage is Coke, or my favorite drink is a Coke. My favorite beverage is orange juice, or my favorite drink is orange juice. There is really no difference. And so beverage is usually a drink, but it's not very often that you name water a beverage, right? You usually name water with the word drink, right? And you refer all the other drinks as beverages. So there is no difference which word you choose. Important thing that you understand that drink and beverage is the same. What you have to remember is that with beverages we use the verb to drink. right? And you remember that this verb is irregular. We say, my favorite drink is a Coke. Yesterday, I yesterday I drank a Coke, right? Or my father is a drunk, right? So he likes to drink a lot, which is not good. So drink, drank, drunk. Three, three words of one verb, right? Because this is irregular verb. So drink. Move on to some questions about the food and drinks that will be included in your final test. Alright, so final test will be full of questions about the food and beverages. And here, first question. What do you usually have for what is is a meal? You remember that we have 3 meals a day, right? We have breakfast, we have lunch, and we have dinner. So, what do you usually have for lunch? Uh, you can answer, I usually have a salad for lunch. So you just move this part of the sentence into the answer. And I usually have for lunch. If the question is, what do you usually have for breakfast? You can say, I usually have eggs for breakfast. If the question is, what do you usually have for lunch? You can say, I usually have salad for lunch. Okay, now it's time for you to write down the question and the answer. So make sure you know how to answer it. All right, let's go. 1 minute on the clock. So let's come up with another question for final test. And next question is, what did you eat for breakfast? What did you eat for lunch? Or what did you eat for dinner? How to answer this question? So first of all, you have to pay a lot of attention to this deed, right? What did you eat? This deed, auxiliary word did, this tells you about the past tense, right? So this meal is already over. So did tells you that you have to change the verb, right? You have to change the verb to the past tense. You have to answer I ate or I drank. Now, why to answer I drank? For example, let's say I'm asking you a question, what did you eat for breakfast? And you had only milk for breakfast. And so that's why you answer me, I ate milk for breakfast. It's technically correct, but it's much better to say I drank milk for breakfast. And because milk is a beverage, that's why you have to think a little bit, come up with the word drink and change it to the past tense. That's why you will say I drank milk for breakfast. So let's write down this question as well, and 1 minute on the clock. Write it down. So the next question. The next question is, what's your favorite beverage? What's your favorite beverage or what's your favorite drink? Remember, if you listen everything in today's class, you know that beverage and drink is the same. And so, what's your favorite beverage or what's your favorite drink? This is question about liquids. So you can answer like this. My favorite beverage is Coke. My favorite beverage is milk. My favorite beverage is water. Anything you like to drink, you can include into this answer. Okay, so let's write it down. 1 minute on the clock. Students, the time is up. I hope you are done. If you didn't finish, put on pause and finish your writing. And right now it is your turn to answer the question, what's your favorite band? Let's move on to another question that I will ask on the final test. The question is, what's your favorite dessert? Now the answer is almost the same. My favorite dessert is blah blah blah. So you have to really listen for the object of the question. Right? What's your favorite dessert? Right? And this word you include into your answer. My favorite dessert is cheesecake, cake, or my favorite dessert is something. All right, let's practice how to answer this question. Let's take a look at the other question. What's your favorite dessert? Now, what's your favorite dessert is a question that you can. Now, let's work a little bit by yourself, and you'll see a few more questions that are going to be asked for final test. Write it down, write down the answer and related vocabulary. Like this question, what's your favorite snack? And the answer is very, very similar. My favorite snack is potato chips. And all you have to do is just listen for the magical word in this question, then insert it into your answer and remember one word of vocabulary. Important thing, never answer with one word. Like if the question is what's your favorite snack, never answer chips, cookies. And for this you will get minus 50% of your score. Don't forget to say that my favorite snack is blah blah blah. Okay guys, let's go, let's work. Okay, now it is enough with the questions for midterm. Let's review that we also have learned about pizza. And right now we know much more. First of all, we know that the pizza is round, always has some cheese, tomato sauce, vegetables, fruits, meats, lots of ingredients. We also know that pizza comes from Italy, right? And the capital of Italy is Rome. We also know that pizza is not a healthy meal, and because pizza has a lot of cheese, which is fat, and a lot of carbs, which is bread. Common ingredients in pizza are tomato sauce, cheese, flour, salt, what else? Pineapple, right? Mushrooms, olives. And some of you also watched the video about frozen pizza. Frozen pizza is very convenient. You can put it into your microwave and bam, 5 minutes, your pizza is ready. Okay, dialogue about pizza. I'm sure that by now you all have to know this dialogue without a paper. So let's read it together. I will be A and your turn will be B. What's for dinner? How about a pizza? But I love pizza. So why can't I have pizza for dinner? What's variety? You mean like a pepperoni pizza instead of a cheese pizza? Okay, great. Now let's play another time, and this time you will be A, and I will help you with B. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. I'm not sure. You had pizza for lunch. Everybody loves pizza because you need variety, different things, not the same thing all the time. No, I mean a salad instead of pizza. Okay, you can call to your friends in line and practice with them this dialogue on Facebook, Line, or any other messengers. Now, the last step, let's watch and listen to the video about how frozen pizzas are made.
Millions of pizzas travel daily from the frozen food section of the supermarket to the dinner table. Thick or thin crust, meat or vegetarian, their convenience makes them a staple in the freezer. But how do they end up tasting so fresh when they start out so frozen? Cheese, sausage, sausage with carrots, and deluxe. All varieties of pizzas require a maze of machines. To make the dough for the crust, they combine flour, salt, cornmeal, water, yeast, and flour in a large mixer. Then they add a bit of cornmeal for flavor. A mixer turns the ingredients for about 4 minutes. This powerful machine needs almost 30 horsepower to knead the dough. The dough rises into a plump dough anus until it's fed into a chunking machine, which divides the blob into smaller pieces. The chunks travel to a sheeting machine which rolls them into 2.5 centimeter thick sheets. A light dusting of flour makes the dough 2.507 centimeters thick, so the company can eventually save costs when selling in bulk. A flour brush tickles the dough to get it to drop its defenses as it's eviscerated by stainless steel rotating spikes. The holes will make the pizza dough faster through production. A large plastic roller cuts the dough into circular pizza crust shapes. Fun fact, this roller is never ever washed, and our cameraman had a cold today. A machine called the Divorce-O-Matic separates the dough. The pizza crusts are given a spray tan to make them more appetizing and to try to slow the effects of aging. Some pizzas stick to the ceiling. Science cannot explain this. Next stop is the tomato sauce waterfall. This waterfall is the only one of its kind in the world, except for all the others found in other pizza-making factories, and anywhere else that someone decides to build one. In fact, most researchers would call this a kid's shitty science fair project more than anything, and would give it a C-. Mounds of cheese fluff are ready to be shredded to add mozzarella cheese topping. Factories want you to believe this is called a cheese applicator machine, but we all know it's just a cheese waterfall. Are you surprised? Most pizzas today are built via waterfall. Okay, seriously, I'm reading the script here and they want to call this thing a meat applicator. Read my lips that you can't currently see. Meat waterfall. Call it what it is, and stop lying to these people. The pizza is now ready to be fed to a computer. The combination of citric acids, salts, and complex topping arrangements make them the perfect snack food for processor-based organisms. The pizzas enter a flash freezer called a blast cell, which sounds like the name of a rejected Batman villain. An overwrapping machine applies a layer of plastic to each pizza. Some people choose to remove this flavor plastic before eating, but this is up to the consumer. The sun god is consulted for final judgment on all pizzas. Any he deems unworthy are blown away to pizza hell. And finally, an automated arm pushes each pizza into a box, making you one step closer to your dinner of disappointing greasy cardboard.
Guys, this is it. This is the end. Remember your homework to write down all the questions, check the vocabulary, and upload at least one picture of your notebook in your Google Classroom. Okay, everyone, have a nice day and goodbye.